r/AskReddit by Reddify. What is the best display of wealth you've ever seen? George Lucas is going to spend over $100 million to build affordable housing in an effort to piss off his neighbors who blocked him from building a studio. He isn't doing it as charity though. It's more like, fine, you won't let me build a studio? Take all these poor people then. We'll allow it. My grandfather was a landscaper for one of the wealthiest families in his town. All along the years they were always very generous, giving him large Christmas bonuses and extra money during the year for reasons like they lived a rich hue of the roses that year. At age 86, I know. Grandpa saw a doctor for the first time and was told he had to stop working. All the bending over caused eye problems. The family continued to pay him his weekly salary and maintain his health insurance until he died at 100. They then sent $20,000 to the funeral home to defray some of the costs. Mom and I would occasionally go up there when he was working. And if she was home, the matriarch would come out and sit with us and have us served iced tea with mint and the most delicious cookies. Just really nice folks. Edited to @holy cow. I didn't expect so many people to respond. Second edit, when you bend over for extended periods, hours each day for decades, pressure begins to build in your brain. In his case, behind the optic nerve. This could lead to blindness. If only I could live to 100. Your grandpa was a strong man. He was amazing. Never owned a car. Ate all the wrong foods. But was healthy to the end. Died in his sleep. I still miss him. I love telling this story. So when I see a house and the kitchen has an island, I consider the house to have a safe amount of money. Not the best metric, but it's never led me astray so far. In high school, a bunch of friends and I go to a guy's house after a soccer game. He has a huge house. There were more windows on the front of this house than I have seen on any other home. We go in to raid the kitchen and decide what to do. I walk in and his kitchen has 2 islands. This is outrageous. A house with 1 island is doing fine money wise. But 2 islands, these people must be loaded. We are talking and he asks us to be quiet so that his parents do hear us on the other wing of the house. I thought it was outrageous before. But now they have 2 islands and their house has 2 wings. Houses with wings are supposed to only be in movies of the early 20th century like Annie. So I press him on it. The other wing has a house with an identical kitchen. This house has 4 islands. That is downright unbelievable. My house only had counters on the wall. This splendor is uncalled, unheard of. So we decide to go swimming in their pool. It's in ground and super nice. I would normally look at it and think how nice it is. But I'm still taking in the 4 islands. One of our friends has to go to the bathroom. But it's late, so my friend just says to use his pool house. I look up and there are 2 full-sized, 2-story, single-bedroom pool houses. We go in to try to scare our friend in the bathroom. We walk through the kitchen to get to the basement. He has a 3rd kitchen. This kitchen has an island. What the actual duck? He has 3 kitchens and 5 islands. I can't believe this. But then it dawns on me. Dude, is the other pool house the same as this one? Long story short, yes. They have 4 kitchens and 6 islands and an in-ground pool. I never thought wealth like this existed outside of movies. So many islands, it could be Fiji. They might actually own Fiji. The rumor was the house used to belong to the Prince of Sweden. My dad inherited about 250,000 in 1950. That was a lot of money then. Because he had no need for money. He drove a bus. One day a black man came on the bus, claiming he couldn't get loan on a house because as soon as the banks found out he was black, he was turned down. My dad called the banks, asked for loans, and then told them he was black, and was turned down at once. Over the phone, my dad loaned the man $10,000 to buy a house. Interest free. Username suggests user is not like their father. Late to the party, but whatever. When I worked at a casino years ago, we had this amazing lady who operated the tab for betting on anything that wasn't table games or pokies. She'd been around for as long as anyone could remember. Was always bright and bubbly at work, no matter what she had going on outside of it. One day she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Operable. but at a cost of over $80. 000. She was panicking and didn't know how she was going to cover the costs. Being in a casino and being there as long as she was. She knew everyone there was to know who was a big player. Within the week of word getting out, we had over 15 patrons that were willing to outright pay for her operation. But we couldn't take their money as it would be seen as taking gratuities from patrons, which was highly forbidden. In the end, her daughter set up a GoFundMe to raise funds for it. The patrons caught word again, and within 5 days they had raised over $500,000 towards her operation. She was flown to the best brain surgeon in Australia, and the operation was a complete success. Her daughter used the remaining money to start a foundation in her mother's name that helps provide financial aid to those with medical needs, and helps fund research into brain tumors and surgeries, and is still donated to regularly by some of the casino's top spending patrons. Edit. Well, RIP my inbox. I'll try and clear up some questions for people here. I can't name names, and the actual casino name due to social media clauses they make you sign means I can't disclose the specific casino it was that I worked at. Charlie Tia was the surgeon she got to see. Medicare. Yes, it would covered it. But the time it would taken to go through a public hospital and the rate the tumor was growing would meant her odds of surviving brain surgery at her age would have been very slim. So to my knowledge she was operated on in a private hospital with expenses paid by cash, rather than private health insurance, to eliminate the wait for surgery. Details are fuzzy. All I remember was the operation was going to be ballpark $80k. Duck, I love me some Australian spirit. Good on em. We are good eggs. My friend's father, let's call him Bob, lost his job. He was a gardener for a local quarry that had closed down, and his wife cheated on him with his brother. They ran off together within 6 months of each other. He spent what little saving he had trying to keep up with payments on his house, so he didn't lose that too. I watched him turn from one of the genuinely nicest people I had ever met to a broken and sad guy. For about a year, there was no joy coming out of this man. The bank was hounding him, and he was in serious risk of losing his house. This is a very small town and everyone knew each other's business. Everyone felt bad for Bob. Except the bank. The bank just hounded him all the time. Then one day, Bob called his son, my friend, and told us to get around there immediately. He had won the lottery. $14 million. We thought he was full of it. He got us to take him to the lottery office to get his money. After a couple of days, he had it in his new bank account. He didn't want to deal with his regular bank anymore after all the grief they caused him. He organized for $226,000 in cash to be picked up from the bank. They had to hire a security guard to watch over the money. We went in with him as witnesses. Him and the bank manager counted out all the money in hundreds, stacked it into a huge duffel bag, and me, my friend, Bob, the security guard, and the bank manager, and we walked out of the bank. We walked directly across the road into the bank that the house belonged to. There was only 2 tellers in there and no other customers. Bob asked to speak to the manager. The manager came out and he didn't look happy with this crowd in his foyer. Bob says, "Hi Gary. I've come to buy me house," and takes the duffel bag off, turns it upside down, and dumps all the cash on the floor. It was everywhere. $100 bills floating to the floor. It was amazing. Gary the bank manager looked ducking gobsmacked. Everybody else just laughed. Then Bob told Gary to lock the front door of the bank. And he did. Then Bob and Gary piled up and counted all the money again. Gary saw the humor in it pretty quickly. Bob took a disposable camera and got everyone to take photos of it. There's a blown up photo of Bob rubbing cash in Gary's face hanging in his house now. A few days later, once it was all processed, it was done. Bob owned his home, had no more money problems, and opened his own gardening business a few months later. This was about 20 years ago, and the business is still operating. TL. Dr. Bob displays his newfound wealth by rubbing it in the bank manager's face. This is the best story in here, Imo. I can only dream of having a blown up picture of me rubbing cash in a bank manager's face. I'm glad they both ended up finding the whole deal funny. I understand that Bob would hold a grudge towards the bank, but the manager at a local branch, assuming it's a national bank, probably has from zero to very little influence on who can get extensions on payments and such. That I've ever witnessed in person? I was a chef in a fancy boutique hotel here in New Zealand, and we used to get the famous and wealthy staying with us. Cliff Richard, Serge Tankian, Nancy Cartwright are a few guests that I was lucky enough to meet. However, the wealth thing. We had a sheik of an oil country. Well, I'm assumed he was a sheik. Or just an Arabian dude rocking the flowing robes and hat. Came over to the pass and complimented us on the meal and asked how many staff in the kitchen. Including kitchen hands and waitstaff, it was something like 12 or 13. The guy just peels off that amount of hundy notes and gives everyone a $100 tip. Pretty cool, and nothing as obnoxious as gold Ferraris or anything. I work for a hotel, and we had the wife and kids of one of these gentlemen stay with us. He couldn't make it due to work. I got an email from his secretary asking me to look after them and help out with anything they needed. At the end of their stay, I got a call on my personal mobile from the guy thanking me for looking after his family so well and to please bid them farewell in person when they leave. They were extremely conservative Muslims, and she avoided to the best of her ability to actually speak with me. So her 7-year-old son came to me and said thanks for everything and handed me an envelope. After they were gone, I opened it up and it was filled with $100 notes. I love Arab oil billionaires as much as he is. Floyd Mayweather will treat you like trash, but everyone gets tipped. Usually a $100 each. He flew into the airport I work at. Also, he was my friend's girlfriend's customer at her bar. He treated her like garbage and threw french fries in her direction. Tipped her $400. A friend of mine had a very wealthy uncle, he passed recently, that went back to the very poor city he was raised in Bangladesh and funded and built a library for the people there. That has always been such a cool story. Me. Edit, Bangladesh. I'm the needful in India. Do me sometime. That would have to be my wife's boss. Dude is a neurologist. One of only 2 in the city. Needless to say, his office is busy, and I'm sure he's financially secure. He once told my wife the only thing he owes money on is his lake house. That means he's paid off his city home, his 3 cars, his office, etc etc. Must be nice. Now, the guy's a doctor. Might sound stereotypical, but almost all doctors I've met have been pompous assholes. Not all. Most. Not this guy. Dude talks to you like you're his best friend and like he works at Chuck E. Cheese. As far as his wealth goes, he shares it. His office employs probably 18 full-time employees. So not large. You include the night shift cleaning crew who technically don't work for him. The babysitter he employs, so his employees don't have to pay a sitter. He has probably 25 people under his business. Every summer he throws a catered beach party at his lake house for employees and their families. His jet skis, pontoon boat, base boat all have the keys in them, and everyone is told if they want to drive one, put on a life vest and have at it. He does a series of games and the winner gets a gift card to somewhere nice. In the end, everyone gets one. Usually each card is about $200 to X business. Everyone has the option to stay the whole weekend or just the day. From the moment you get there till the moment you leave, everything is provided and paid for. Every Christmas he gives every employee a bonus in the form of an extra paycheck. Even the ones who technically don't work for him get it. He also throws a Christmas dinner and party for employees and their families. The dinner is held at the nicest Italian restaurant in town every year, with the after party at his home. Once at the house, everyone plays Dirty Santa with $20 gifts they brought, then it's time for the employee only Dirty Santa. He furnishes the gifts for this round and they can be anything from the newest and nicest iPad to a 60 inches LED TV. Nice stuff. Then each employee is gifted a personal item from boss man to the employee. His only stipulation there is you must give him an Christmas list prior, and it has to be more than $500, less than $1,000. And not just twice a year. He's nice. My wife knows for a fact he's paid off employees' medical or credit card debt just because he can, and he makes said employee promise to never mention it. Obviously, people mention it. When my wife went to him to tell him she is going back to school and asked for a change in her schedule, his response was, How about I pay you for 40 hours, but you work whatever you can while succeeding in school. Oh. And bring me your tuition bill. I want to pay that too. Dude is an angel. Or my wife is banging him. Either way. He's alright in my book. Edit. Gold? What? Thanks. See, even talking about the boss man gets me good luck. My uncle is a doctor. I kind of want to shower his house with copies of this message. Harry Potter style. Because he treats his employees like garbage and it's bothered me for decades. He's well aware of it. And says I don't understand business. Make it rain, brother. Make it rain. You mean like giving gold to hit posts? I will thank nobody. Spez it. I still refuse. Spez it. Is that what we are going to call him now? I like it. Spez, it's time to spaz. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.